How often each day, if you were to verbalize your inner reality at that moment, would you have to say, I don't want to be where I am? What does it feel like when you don't want to be where you are? The traffic jam, your place of work, the airport lounge, the people you are with. How does it feel? It is true, of course, that some places are good places to walk out of, and sometimes that may well be the most appropriate thing for you to do. In many cases, however, walking out is not an option. In many cases, however, walking out is not an option. In all those cases, the I don't want to be here is not only useless but also dysfunctional. It makes you and others unhappy. It has been said wherever you go, there you are. In other words, you are here always. Is it so hard to accept that? I'll pause at this moment and would like to check with you if this is speaking to you. Are you able to relate to this? And if yes, is there a personal insight that is trying to come to surface in your consciousness as I am reading this passage?
Indranil, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I think we go through this moments day in and day out, almost on a moment to moment basis, don't we?
I'm glad you're acknowledging it.
Um,
So, what does this do to you when you hear Eckhart Tolle, who is the author of this book, talking about something which is different from our
I
day to day experience?
I think acceptance and surrender is the right title for that subtopic. I mean, I've not heard of this book. I've not gone through many books, but
Hmm.
I think if you pay more attention to what they're saying, probably it's true, and we don't ourselves know that we are doing this.
Yeah, that is, he goes on to talk about it a little later. Yeah, I think that is the insight that you are wonderfully drawn, Bhaskar. Neha, any insight that you have drawn, personal insight?
Um, so again, as Bhaskar said, we do go through these on a regular, almost like every day. And for me, it is which I have been wanting to do is getting into art in the world of art, which I have still not been able to. It's not that I don't love my job; I love every bit of it, but I want to just leave everything and get into the world of art and poetry. So yeah,
So, what you are talking about is uh, walking out of a place and
yeah,
being in a
yeah,
place where you like to be. That is
yes,
definitely option one. But this entire chapter is a chapter when I am locked down. See, lockdown is not an imposition. Lockdown, if you notice, from the time we were children, we were locked in schools and then in
yeah,
college and then in our offices, in our cubicles, in the trains, in the trams, in the buses, in the flights, in the airport lounge. Everywhere there is a lockdown. We have the lockdown is not new. And how beautifully this piece has come at a point in time when there is an imposed lockdown. What do I do when I can't move out of that situation? That is not only not possible, but that may be dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to read further. Do you really need to mentally label every sense, perception, and experience? Do you really need to mentally label every perception and experience? This is not good, that is not good, it's very hot, it's very cold, it's raining cat and dogs, the wind is too hard, uh, life is too boring, Indranil is a very boring reader, uh, all of that. So we put adjectives, we learn grammar, and we're using it so differently, if you notice, to label almost all situations that we come across. Do you really need to have a reactive like dislike relationship with life where you are in almost continuous conflict with situations and people? How wonderful, you see? Is there a reason to have a like dislike relationship? Or is that just a deep seated mental habit that can be broken? This is important. Is it a deep seated mental habit that can be broken? Not by doing anything, but allowing this moment to be as it is. So, somewhere it is the author is talking about instead of getting carried away by our conditioned mind, which is taught us to like and dislike, approve and disapprove, can we decondition our mind to say, this is how it is, that's it? And I'm stopping the reading, I'm sharing my personal experience. There is a negative side, there's a positive side also. How beautiful. I was looking at the sunset today, and how beautiful is the sunset. I was again associating with a like relationship with it. I'm so conditioned. I can't just say it's a sunset, it's a different sunset. It's a sunset which is different from yesterday. And maybe there'll be another sunset which is different from today. And just be in the awe and wonder of how the sun sets. How does it look when it sets? So I'm going back to reading. The habitual and reactive no, the word no, N-O, strengthens the ego. Yes, Y-E-S, yes, weakens it. Your form identity. Eckhart Tolle uses the word ego to represent the self concept that we have built. He uses the word ego to represent our own understanding and belief and mind made form of who we are. Because we actually don't know who we are, so we have created a certain definition for ourselves, and that's what he calls as ego. So he says, your form identity, the ego cannot survive surrender. Now, this is important. Now, he's talking of a reason why, as Bhaskar said, that the key thing is to surrender. Why surrender is not so easy? Because the day to day life that we are leading through with our form identity, with our self concept, the ego does not like surrender. I have I have so much to do. Yes, but what is the quality of your doing? Driving to work, speaking to clients, working on the computer, running errands, dealing with countless things that make up your daily life, and you can add to it when it is work from home. How total are you in what you are doing? I repeat, how total are you in what you are doing? Is you are doing surrendered or non surrendered? Now, link this with the like dislike relationship that he talked of a little while back. Even when I am doing my task, There is a like dislike relationship that is working there. And moment there's a like dislike relationship, there's a dichotomy, which means I am not total. There's a part of me which likes, there's a part of me which does not like. This is what determines your success in life, not how much effort you make. Your totality of engagement with what you're doing determines success, not the effort that you put in. In fact, effort is the root cause of stress. Effort implies stress and strain, needing to reach a certain point in the future to accomplish a certain result. That is effort. I like the smile. Can you detect even the slightest element within yourself of not wanting to be doing what you are doing? Think about those moments when you're doing something and you're not wanting to do it. And that's when effort comes in. That's a denial of life. And so a truly successful outcome is not possible. Just pause for a while and think of those moments and what has been the outcome of the effort, quote unquote, that you have put in doing whatever you were doing. You will be able to validate the statement that Eckhart Tolle is making. A truly successful outcome is not possible when there is denial of life. And that denial of life is when you are not wanting to do and yet doing something. If you can detect this within yourself, can you also drop it and be total in what you do? This last line to me is very important. The moment I see this happening inside me, the moment I become aware of this, the moment it arises in my consciousness, it dissolves. That's the beauty of human design. Supreme in us is our consciousness, is awareness. And it is the most powerful solvent that one has ever known. Bring up all that which is bothering you to your consciousness and see how it magically dissolves. Doing one thing at a time is how one Zen master defined the essence of Zen. I'm sure many of you know of it and would have heard of it. Doing one thing at a time. Doing one thing at a time means to be total in what you do, to give it your complete attention. This is surrendered action, empowered action. So, this is different from non surrendered and compulsive action and disempowered action on the one hand, and surrendered and empowered action on the other hand. Your acceptance of what is takes you to a deeper level where your inner state as well as your sense of self no longer depends on the mind's judgment of good or bad. Now, it cannot happen overnight, and I'm sharing from my experience. It took some time to unlearn the conditions of qualifying things as good or bad, but over a period of time, everything seems to be okay. It might have an initial little jitter. There might be a little frown on my face, but that's it. It might be just a few seconds and it is gone. When you say yes to the isness of life, when you accept this moment as it is, you can feel a sense of spaciousness. So when you say yes in this moment, as you're listening to me, just say yes to what is happening with you. And suddenly, as if there's a huge spaciousness in you, and this spaciousness is very peaceful, right? On the surface, you may still be happy when it is sunny and not so happy when it is rainy. You may be happy at winning $1 million and unhappy at losing all your possessions. Neither happiness nor unhappiness. Now, mind this, this is very key. The world is trying to pursue happiness and run after happiness. But how transient it is. Neither happiness nor unhappiness, however, go all that deep anymore. They are ripples on the surface of your being. Consider your being to be the ocean. Moments of happiness and unhappiness are transient waves, are ripples. The background peace within you remains undisturbed regardless of the nature of the outside condition, which is at the bottom of the ocean, the peace. So, in a very subtle way, Katole to me also speaks of, are you really going to pursue happiness or you want to pursue peace? The yes to what is reveals a dimension of depth within you that is dependent neither on external conditions nor on the internal conditions of constantly fluctuating thoughts and emotions. So there are two parts of it: the external condition, which you may be ascribing or a good or a bad quality or a like or a dislike quality. And then there is an internal condition, the constant chatter of your mind and certain emotions inside you. So the resultant effect is a combination of the two. And that's what is saying the yes to what is reveals a dimension of depth within you that is dependent neither on the external condition nor on the internal condition, fluctuating thoughts and emotions. How beautiful, right? This X makes you transcend both the outside and the inside. Actually, this yes dissolves the boundary between the outside and the inside. There is no outside, there is no inside, there is only you, right? So try it, you'll be able to experience it. I'd like to pause for a while. I see a lot of thoughtful expressions. You want to share something, please feel free. I have a few, two more pages to go through, and then we'll get over. Deep stuff, right, Bhaskar?
Yes, yes, Andran. I mean, in my life experience or the people surrounding me, I've seen a lot of what the few lines you said. One was about the transient waves of happiness and unhappiness that you were talking about. A few of my fellow physicians who are training right now and who are at the end of their training career and trying to begin their jobs, they mentioned that, sir, we have trained for 8 years now and we have done 3 years of residency or whatever postgraduate training. Now what, sir? Because all these years they were trying to get to their whatever MBBS degree and their MD degree, and then now what? And he was dejected. He was like, now I just keep earning and doing what I want, what
Yeah,
I
so
can.
Bhaskar, if you remember, he talks about effort, which is trying to achieve a result, which
Hmm.
is trying to drive to a destination. And
We
when
do
you
that.
are doing, and when you are doing that, you are inevitably not total in it.
Hmm.
So, but if I may take the liberty of sharing with you and the rest of the group, uh, I have met Bhaskar, I have experienced him personally. By far, I see you as a peaceful person. So, somewhere in your own life, you seem to have resolved this yes and no, dislike, this good and bad. May not be 100%, but to a large extent, you seem to have. And I think being with children makes it a little more easy for you. Bhaskar is a pediatrician, and uh, he becomes a child when he is treating his patients. I've seen him doing that. So I see a very natural child in you, and that helps somewhere in the entire thing. Neha, you would like to share something? Another very wise lady I have come across.
Still internalizing Indranil.
Just my one request, Neha,
Yeah,
take it easy. There's nothing very serious about it.
yeah,
Life
yeah,
per se is great fun.
yep, yeah, true.
Neha, you were talking about doing something in art
Yes,
apart from your profession.
yeah.
I mean, I'm a pediatrician and I always wanted to do things apart from what our job is usually.
Mhm.
Uh, for a few years, I did I did some. I mean, we all have done something, and the only thing that brings real satisfaction is what you do out of your job. what you don't
Exactly.
what you don't do for money is
Yeah,
probably
true,
what brings you joy.
Yeah,
true,
so
true.
doctor, this is a very interesting topic, and I think I'll stop reading right now. You brought up
She
something
wants to
very
sorry,
interesting, very interesting.
just a minute. I
Uh,
think she wants to say something. The other person.
yeah,
I,
Saiba.
you're it's on mute.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, everyone. So, coming to what Bhaskar sir you said, I would like to add to this. It is like bringing about the best in your work. And I have switched my career from, I'm a lawyer by education, and I switched my career from law and I got into learning and development because it was always my calling that, to do something to help people out. And eventually, after getting that joy from my job, I wanted to do something extra. And I think this entire lockdown period has given me that opportunity to actually self reflect, to understand what is it that you want. And it's been pretty interesting. So, yeah,
I
something
mean,
to
don't get
agree
me wrong. I
upon.
mean, we need our jobs to run our livelihood, but sometimes we probably just have to do something else to kind of liberate ourselves.
So maybe I am an exception in the entire thing. The other day, somebody asked me what is my hobby, and I didn't have an answer because all that was my hobby. I've transformed that into my profession, and I agree with you, Bhaskar. Now, looking back, life has not been very easy financially and economically because I'll give you an example. I was with the IT industry for 16 years, and that's the time when I earned pretty well. I was in sales, business development, marketing, and all of that. But somewhere like cyber, I got a huge nudge from inside that my calling is to help people, and not just help people, but help them to transform, help them to grow beyond their own benchmarks. And so I jumped out and started on my own. I started my entrepreneurship as an L&D outfit, an entrepreneur. And that journey took me to different places where I integrated almost anything. My love for numerology got integrated over there. My love for music got integrated over there. I've also recently gotten into therapy that got integrated over there. So there's nothing left which I can say I can move out of my job and do that to feel good. So at a feel good level, at a peace level, I think I'm uh, at least not 100 but 80% of the time I'm at peace. One thing that I was not at peace with is uh, trying to get clients, is hobnob and negotiate and go beyond that and do many things which I was not okay with. My values did not allow me. So that also I resolved. I gave up my company after 15 years and started working as an independent consultant through other consultants. And today I'm a life coach, I'm a transformational coach, and I'm also a therapist. So thanks to social media and thanks to word of mouth, I get my clients. All my clients are individuals today. So you see, this journey of towing the line with my passion and making my passion my profession. Yes, it has not been very easy, Bhaskar. I completely agree with you. Sometimes I wish I had not done this. But then, from a learning perspective, from a growth perspective, it has been tremendous. And also from a peace of mind perspective, at the end of the day, I have a peaceful sleep. That I think, even if there is one client who comes, yesterday there was a client who had come to me and going through some very difficult time. So today I'm working more with mental health of people, which is the need of the hour. And at the end of it, after 1 hour of consult, I felt so happy. No, I had not given the remedy as yet, but he could speak out and he could feel light. That's it. So there are different ways, but ultimately it's multiple radii and one center to the circle. So I think all ways are right. Shall we get back to reading?
Sure.
Surrender becomes so much easier when you realize the fleeting nature of all experiences and that the world cannot give you anything of lasting value. So, if I am going through something which is not good, which I am not liking, even that is also fine because it's a fleeting nature. There are days when I don't feel good, and I say, okay, today is just one more day. Tomorrow it will not be today. So, it's like that. You then continue to meet people, to be involved in experiences and activities, but without the wants and the fears of the egoic self. You see where the whole thing is coming from. The egoic self wants things to be in a certain way. That is to say, you no longer demand that a situation, person, place, or event should satisfy you or make you happy. Its passing and imperfect nature is allowed to be. So, this thought, and it's not just a thought, it's the truth of transience of things, the fleeting nature of things, is a catalyst to help us in acceptance and surrender. And the miracle is that when you are no longer placing an impossible demand on it, every situation, person, place, or event becomes not only satisfying but also harmonious. I'm sure you would have found those times when you are just there and you are not in a state of like or dislike. And when you get out of that place and you look back and realize, my God, it was so harmonious, it was so peaceful, right? When you completely accept this moment, when you no longer argue with what is, the compulsion to think lessens and is replaced by an alert stillness. I'll repeat this, this is important. When you completely accept this moment, when you no longer argue with what is, the compulsion to think lessens and is replaced by an alert stillness. So, the way I interpret it is by nature we are all still. By nature we are all still. It's the noisy mind which comes and creates a mist over our stillness. And through this moment of acceptance, I can quieten my mind. In the moment it gets quietened, I'm in touch with my primordial stillness. You are fully conscious, yet the mind is not labeling this moment in any way because the mind is quietened now. The state of inner non resistance opens you to the unconditioned consciousness that is infinitely greater than the human mind. In fact, that's the time when there is a lot of wisdom that flows through you. This vast intelligence can then express itself through you and assist you, both from within and from without. So that can show up as a good painting, Neha, or Bhaskar, that can show up as a piece of art, or Saiba, that can show up as something beautiful that you do with your client, for example. That is why, by letting go of inner resistance, you often find circumstances change for the better. So the root is let go of inner resistance, the mind chatter stops, stillness arises, unconditional consciousness arises, and that is the highest form of human intelligence, from where flows excellence. Am I saying enjoy this moment? Be happy? No. Allow the suchness of this moment. That's enough. There are situations where all answers and explanations fail. Life does not make sense anymore. Or someone in distress comes to you for help and you don't know what to do or say. When you fully accept that you don't know, you give up struggling to find answers with a limited thinking mind, and that is when a greater intelligence can operate through you. We often dismiss it as intuition. And even thought can then benefit from that, since the greater intelligence can flow into it and inspire it. Now, your thought is not mind led, your thought is consciousness led. Sometimes surrender means giving up trying to understand and becoming comfortable with not knowing. I don't know how often this has happened with you. It happens with me very often. Saiba, like you, I often land up in a group of people trying to help them move from point A to point B. And most often they're senior people. They ask very intelligent questions. Not intelligent, but intellectual questions. And very often I find myself saying, I don't know. But from there emerges something. Try it out, it will help. Do you know of someone whose main function in life seems to be to make themselves and others miserable, to spread unhappiness? Do you know? Forgive them. For they too are a part of the awakening of humanity. Because there is no other, right? It's a part of you, outside of you. The role they play represents an intensification of the nightmare of egoic consciousness. So the author talks about another consciousness, which is the egoic consciousness, which is aggregating all around. I'm sure all of us know that. You don't have to talk about it. The state of non surrender, the state of fighting. Bhaskar just talked about one of them, of the internees, of the residents. There is nothing personal in all this. That's the best part. This is all a part of evolution. We are like many streams flowing towards one ocean. So, can we flow along? That's it. It is not who they are. There is nothing personal in all this. It is not who they are. Surrender, one could say, is the inner transition from resistance to acceptance, from no to yes. When you surrender, your sense of self shifts from being identified with a reaction or mental judgment to being the space around the reaction or judgment. I'll read it again. This is beautiful. When you surrender, your sense of self is the ego actually, but it shifts from being identified with the reaction. So, identification is the like dislike, right? But there is a sudden shift. You are no more in the like dislike identification or mental judgment, but you move to a space, and the word is space, around the reaction or the judgment. Guys, what is the space? This is a space of awareness. When you don't identify, you become aware. You become the witness. You know, that's it. And this is who you are. It is a shift from identification with the form, the thought, or the emotion to being and recognizing yourself as that which has no form. To see, he's talking in a different way that from the form self, which is the egoic self, the self concept, I am now moving to my absolute self, which is formless. And that absolute self is always there, it is never gone out. I might have gone out of it, but it has never gone out. So there is a shift by which I return back. It's like homecoming. Whatever you accept completely will take you to peace, including the acceptance that you cannot accept. Now, this is the most beautiful part. Before I close this, I think this is important for all of us to understand. Acceptance will not come easily, it will take time. Till such time that we cannot accept, can we accept that we cannot accept? Leave life alone. Let it be. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're taking back something. You may write it also on the group. You may not be in a position to share right now. I can see the expressions on your faces, full of reflection. Neha, before you leave, I would like to see your expression too.
My little one is all around. So I put my video off. She's
No
like, Mama,
problem.
what are you doing?
No problem.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So,
Aruni. Thanks for your
my,
time.
my pleasure. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you, Internet.
Look forward to having at least all three of you next Saturday.
Thank
And
you.
I will try and see this mess up that happened with the link not happening anymore.
Sure, no problem. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Internet.
you.
Bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye.